Hi everyone, thank you for attending the online registration setup webinar for Conference Tracker. My name is Nick. I'm with our support staff here at Engineerica. As you can see, if you have any questions, feel free to either put them in the chat or email us at conftrac@engineerica.com. So to get started, we're going to go right into building your attendee registration. So at this point, you should have gotten your Conference Tracker account and gotten some of the things set up. Probably you've already went into the basic info, maybe even imported your sessions. And to take a quick look at that, that's where we're going to want to go first, though, is back to the basic info. And if you haven't already done so, you want to put in your dates of your conference, any other information, maybe your website for the conference or the address where the conference will be taking place. For now, I'm going to just go ahead and we're going to enable attendee online registration as well as the exhibitor online registration. So this is all done from the basic info section from your main menu of Conference Tracker. So let me hit save. Okay, once that's been done, that allows us to now go ahead and create the online registration form. So in order to create the online registration form, we're going to go into first the attendees section under online registration. This section here allows us to go ahead and add any kind of custom questions that we'd like. Once we get in here, we're going to go ahead and edit the registration form. You can see that there's a lot of information that we are already requesting from them. If you don't want that, you just go ahead and remove them by clicking the red dot next to the right hand side. There are a few fields that are required, such as first name, last name, and email that we do require. That way, if you are using the attendee app, this would be information that you'd be able to allow them to log into the app and view information about your sessions and everything like that. So once you've gotten everything in here removed that you don't want, we do allow you to add your own custom registration questions. To give you an example, we have different field types that you can add. So from here, I have a text box, a price option, password option. In case they are going to be using the app, you're going to want to add a password field. A list option. This could be a list of choices that you want them to pick from. It could be where they only need one of those options selected, or it could be multiple if there's several options for them. And those could also have prices associated with those options as well. So if you're adding different packages on to your registration form, that's a really helpful tool. So you'll see us using the list option a lot, as well as a checkbox. Maybe this is to confirm that they acknowledge certain things in the registration. You could also use this as well as another option choice, but this would just be a single checkbox option. And then we have section title and explanatory text, which basically those are if you want to break up the form. So right here, this information that's already here is going to appear under a general information heading, along with in orange, like it says up here. This is just the conference name that I gave it, but up here I could actually change the way that registration title. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that, my attendee conference registration. Okay, once I get that in there, now we can build out our other parts of the form. So one of the first options, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a section, and we're just going to call this the attendee app options. Okay, so that's going to go ahead and create a heading similar to this general information. I really can't do much. I don't have any properties to that. It's just really going to add a heading into the form. Okay, and so I might give them some explanatory text here as well, and just explain why I'm having them complete the next section. And so I say something, if you would like to use our attendee app. Once I've done that, if I just simply click off of it, it's going to go ahead and add that text there. Okay, and in here now I'm going to click on the password button, and you can see that I get my password options. So this is really neat. If I actually am going to offer that attendee app where Conference Tracker allows them to see what sessions are happening, view maps about different areas of your conference. Maybe you have an exhibit hall map. You may want to allow them to use that. So it's really neat, and I can make this a required option, or I can make it optional. So if they, for instance, they choose not to, I might want to make this optional. And I can also set a minimum length. So if I want to make it easier for my people to set up passwords, maybe we'll do PIN numbers. I'm going to set a minimum of 4-digit passwords. Okay, you can see it's really just a matter of clicking on each of the box. So let me go ahead and we're going to add another section. I'm going to call this my conference options. So now that I have this section, maybe just give it some explanatory text that says, please choose from the following options. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and click off of it and come back, and we can add some other options. So I'm going to first start off with a list now. Okay, and this is going to be pretty widely used, so that's why I wanted to show this. So here's the list. Right here I could say meal selections, let's say, and maybe during the conferences I'm going to be providing lunch. We talked to the hotel, and maybe they're going to have the option of a chicken, let's say fish, vegan, and I don't know, kosher option. Okay, so all these options that I've added, this right now it's set by default to allow them to pick one. So that's what they're going to do. I don't want them to be able to pick multiple, so that's fine by me. The other thing is I'm going to make this required so that we definitely get that information regarding their meal preference, so that we can get the appropriate meals ordered. So I'm going to just label this meals, so if I want to later on use that in a mail merge of some sort in our system, we'll be able to use that field and I'll know exactly what it is. Okay, I can also add a price per option. So let's say we also have another option is a steak upgrade. Go ahead and make it known that that one actually costs a little extra. So we're going to make that a $10 option. Okay, so if they choose any of the first four, it will be no additional charge to the conference registration. And we'll look at the settings in the back end on the registration, because since we can do payments and everything, we'll be able to add a base registration fee. So this would actually just be added on top of whatever that is. Okay, but really just wanted to show you how this form builder works and use a few options. So here, let's add a few other things. So we're going to use the, let's say we use the checkbox option. So here I can simply add another option for them. I may want to add an explanatory text here. So now if you notice, I added the option before the text that I wanted. So if I wanted to move this, I don't know if you can tell, as I move the mouse over certain sections, it kind of highlights like a little tan color. Okay, now if I wanted to move this, let's say above, I can just click and drag over that so that I can move the caption before the option. So here I might say something like choose the options. Okay, and let's say we're going to offer certain packages, so we'll say this would be golf package, so that they can do some golf while they're there. You know, I might want to make these all optional so that I don't have to necessarily have them choose it. So I'm going to make this a no on the required, and I can rename this the golf option. Okay, so let's see. We're going to add another option here. So checkbox spa treatment. Okay, so once I get that added, I'll go ahead and make that optional as well, and rename that field. Okay, so I've got a few options here that they could select from in addition, and these would actually allow me to pick either one individually. I can also do that, like I said, in the list. If I select that and wanted to make that multiple selections allowable, I would say yes here, and then they could actually check off the different options here. Alright, and then let's take a look at, I think we haven't done a price field. So at the bottom, let's say I want to say a donation. Okay, now that's a lot of text. If I click off of it, you may not like this. You may end up wanting to take some of this text and make it a explanatory field. And so I'll show you how that works real quick. Okay, so I'm going to grab that first part and add the explanatory text, and we're going to paste this in, and then we're just going to move it right in front of that. Okay, and I could shorten this too. Okay, and because I don't want to make this a required field, I'll go ahead and select that and say no. I may even want to reflect this in here. Okay, so now that I've got that updated, you can see how easy it would be to add, you know, like if you wanted any kind of donation amount or some kind of price that where they enter the amount, you could actually add that to your form. And then the last one is a text field. Let's say in their general information, I would also want to capture their license number. Okay, so I'm just going to call this license number, and we're going to click and drag and move this all the way up to the general information. Now I might have to scroll a little bit. Okay, so there would be their license number. You know, and I could also add some other options in the general information. So let's say I want to add a list option here, and we're going to say, we're going to call this list member, and we're going to make that required, no multiple selections, and maybe we do have a price. So we're going to go ahead and edit the caption. And we're going to add options. So we're going to say member, add option, and then non-member. And so maybe we have a different payment too, based on whether they're a member or non-member. So we can move this up and set that there. Now the license number, maybe that's corresponding with whether they're a member or not. So I might want to make that not required. Depending on if they are a non-member, then they wouldn't have that. And you can edit that however you want. Add some extra text, but you can kind of see how I could build the registration form out, and I'll just rename that license for that field here. And okay, so there we go. All right, and then to save this, we're going to go ahead and click Save at the bottom. Okay, and go back to the online registration. And if I want to go back and edit it, I can just click back in here. If I like everything the way it looks, I can double check everything to make sure it stayed in there, and then cancel out of this to get back here. Once it's all been completed, then we can move on to the next step. Okay, so we want to go and look at the online payment and registration settings in the advanced options. Okay, and you can see I've already enabled it. That was in the basic info, but I haven't enabled the online payments yet. That's still disabled. Alright, so in order to do that, we're going to go back to the home page. We're going to click on our settings down at the very bottom of the account. And we're going to look at attendee registration. Okay. This section right here is dealing with all the different types of correspondence that they're going to receive, and whether or not you're going to allow them to register for specific sessions during your conference. So they may only be registering for the conference, or you may have them choose which sessions they want to join. So that way you kind of get a feel for how many people you expect at each one. You can even limit each session based on that information. So if you only have 30 seats for a particular session and it gets crowded pretty quick, you could have it where once that's full, it no longer shows up, and that's actually done automatically just by setting a seat count for that session. But here is where I would enable that online registration. And since I've already got some sample workshops included, by enabling that, those should show up when our attendee goes to fill out their form. Okay. Another option is, because we do offer the attendee app with Conference Tracker, you can allow your attendees to update their information. So check that off, and they'll be able to do that from the app. Alright, and then once they've successfully completed the registration, this information is just what shows up on the screen once they're done with that registration form, and after they've done their payment and everything like that. So this is basically just going to be confirmation. You can change the wording. We have like a word editor here that you can change it stylistically however you want that to look. Additionally, we have some options based on whatever they're doing. So if you want them to receive an email after they've registered, or once they've been accepted in the system, you can do each of those. And every time I check one of these off, I'm going to get a different email template that goes out to them, and it uses the default template in there. So you can definitely customize that and use certain mail merge fields to get that unique personalized kind of feel. Okay, and I can save those settings now. It's just going to ask me to confirm. And I'll want to go back in there though, because we still haven't enabled the online payments. So we want to take a look at that. We actually have enabled our payments to go through PayPal. So that way they can pay through PayPal. They can use a credit card, debit card, whatever they'd like. So if you end up enabling that, you would actually provide your merchant ID or email associated with your business account so that you could receive the payments. So if you do want to offer that option so they can just pay online for the conference, that's where you would input that information. And then in here we also have where the base fee can be added. This is like if I have a base fee that everyone's going to pay regardless of what other options that they chose on the registration form. So I might have for everyone a $50 base registration fee. Now I might make that a free option, and I could actually set the dates of when that takes place. Of course, today is the current date that they show, so if I look, I might want to do it, let's say, a month out from my conference. Uh, so we'll choose, let's say, September 18th. Okay. Um, so basically anybody before that is not going to get the extra base fee, but after that date, they will receive the $50 base fee plus whatever they're doing on all the options through your registration form. All right. And then we have some other automation that you can have happening where once the registration fee has been paid, it can auto accept the registrants online. So that way you don't have to sit there and check everyone that's already paid to see everything. Now, you may not want to do that if you want to look at the registration form and make sure they've completed it. So then you can accept them manually, but this will eliminate you from having to go through everyone that's actually already paid. Now, if you offer the conference free of charge, and there's no, maybe there's a way that, if the person's like a member of your conference and there's no additional charges that they choose, and so you have like a free option, basically you could also accept any free registrations, where as soon as they filled out all the options to where there's no charge at the end, it'll just automatically accept them and give them the completion message, and they'll be ready to start attending your conference. Other things here, this is if you want them to receive an email once the payment's been accepted. So they'll just kind of get like a receipt on that payment being confirmed. And then above here was the payment instructions. You could actually change this depending on if, let's say, you had the option. I had one conference where they were using the online, but also they could pay via check or something like that. So they actually gave them instructions for different payment instructions, where if they didn't want to complete it, which this actually puts a payment link in the email message, but you could also give them other options for making the payments. Okay, and I'm not going to get into this. It's pretty similar to the attendee, but this is now into the exhibitor payments and how that would work, and we're going to actually see this later on in the webinar. So for now, I'm going to save that so that we can move on to the next step. Okay, and the next step is you want to share your registration form with your attendees. Okay, and that's pretty easy to do. So once we've completed going through all the settings, completing, making the registration form into what we want it to be, we're going to go back to online registration, and we're going to use the share option. And the cool thing is it kind of gives me a summary here showing me that my online registration is enabled, so that form will be ready, and we're ready to start taking payments. And at this point, normally it would show me if there's any registrations that have been completed on this screen, but we got to share it first. So we're going to click that, and we have 3 different options. You can share it via maybe you have a Facebook account, Twitter feed, some sort of social aspect that you want to advertise it on there. You can actually embed the web form into your website if you have access to do that. And most common is to send this link to the attendees. So at this point, if I have a mail list or something like that and I want to just send this out, I just copy this URL and send that out to all my potential attendees. So if I wanted to take a quick look at how this is going to look, I'm going to go ahead and open up another browser here, one that I'm not logged into. If I'm logged into the conference, it won't actually show me this. So we're going to go ahead and paste in that web address and go to it. Okay, and as you can see, this takes me right to the attendee registration form. Okay, so once we get the registration link copied and pasted in here, we have the registration form pulled up so that we can test it out. And this is always good just in case you run into any snags. You want to see how your attendees will be able to fill out the form. So we're going to go ahead and click on register, and we're going to go ahead and fill out the registration form as an attendee. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and choose a non-member, no license. We are going to try to use the app, so I'm going to go ahead and give myself passcode and choose the chicken meal plan with the golf package, and we'll donate $20. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. Okay, now as you can see, this option didn't come up. It's because my sessions haven't been enabled for online registration. So this is good to see that happen. You know, that's why we want to test it. So if we go back to conference tracker and we go and view the schedule, we can see we have the 3 sessions for the first day. I haven't added the second day sessions, but on here, if I wanted to enable registration, and I could have done this when I imported them, but now that they're already here, I can check off on them that I want to make them available for online registration. And if they have a capacity, let's say there's only, let's say 100 people that can sign up for this, I could also include that and then save that information. Okay, and we'll go ahead and do that for each of these. Alright, well, it didn't want to do it, so we may end up having to refresh and start the form over here. So let's try that again. And we're just going to fill this out real quick again. Choose our meal option. Do everything like we did before. Okay, so this is perfect. So now that that was enabled, we can see that we have different time slots. So here at the 8 a.m. We have an intro session, but I can go ahead and register for that session at this time. Now here we have a choice, and if I were to check both of them, then it would actually give me a warning here. So just letting me know that, hey, these sessions are overlapping. Okay, so then at that point I could go ahead and uncheck one of them and choose the one that I want to actually go to. Alright, so I'm going to hit continue. So it's got my sessions that I registered to, and at this point I really just have to confirm that it's a human filling this form out and not a robot. So we're going to go ahead and continue. It's going to redirect me over to our PayPal site so that I can make payment. And at first it asked me to log in. That's if I want to pay with my PayPal. But at this point, if I hit the debit credit card option, it should load all my normal options for making payment through credit card. So at this point, they can complete it, and then the total amount is displayed at the top, which is based on all the selections and options that they chose throughout the registration process. Okay, I'm going to just exit out of this for now. What we're going to see if we go back to the home screen of your conference tracker account is that now the online registration displays someone has a pending registration, and the reason why is the payment hasn't been processed yet. So at this point, if I was the admin, I could either send the payment instructions that I've set up in the settings, or if they were to pay me another way via check or however other options you give them, I could actually manually confirm them. I can also delete ones that were created in error. Maybe this person had difficulty trying to finish the registration. They had multiples in here. Whatever reasoning, I could remove that registration. But as soon as I confirm them, they'll actually become an attendee. or if they're auto-confirmed through the system. Okay, and if I wanted to take a quick look at what they filled out, here's all their answers. If I needed to update that for any reason, I could do that too before confirming it, and it may change the price. So let's say, oh, this person let me know uh, they were in the process of becoming a member and they didn't have a license number at the time. So we went ahead and updated it, save, and then I could send the payment instructions and it would actually update. So if I went back here, now the price is just the total that they put on the form minus the member fee. So, or non-member fee rather. So once that's done, send the payment instructions and they can pay the updated price. Okay. Okay, and that just takes us on now to the exhibitor registration, and it's pretty much going to be very similar information. We've already enabled that in the basic info when we were there the first time. You're going to create an online registration form. This process is very similar, it's just in a different section. So when I come down here after I've already enabled it in the basic info section, I'm going to go to online exhibitor registration, and you can see we have the same kind of setup here, same buttons, same options of enabling the online payments and everything like that. So I could go and truly customize that to the needs of my exhibitors that would be signing up for the conference. As well, I could offer the conference leads. So that's a little different. So we're going to go into that, and that takes us into the next section, which is our advanced options. And I just wanted to quickly go over that because it is slightly different for an exhibitor versus an attendee. So if I go down to those settings again, all the way at the bottom of the account, and go to exhibitor registration, I have some similar options here. We have the confirmation message that they see on the screen once they've completed it. Now, if you are offering lead retrieval, which is our conference leads app, you can choose the dates that app will become active. Okay, so for instance, if you're going to allow them to maybe start using the leads app in some of the pre-conference times, then you would just set those dates. So if maybe the conference is starting technically on the 16th and you want it to go all the way till the 23rd, so you give them the whole week in order to use that app, then you can do that. Also, you can configure all the different types of emails that go out for different things, like when they've completed their registration online, if they've registered to use the conference leads app. These are different emails. Now, most of these are pre-templated here, but of course you can change those. So you would check off all the things that you want and change those email messages accordingly. And once you have all those set up, and I could literally just check off and use the default settings if I like, so I don't have to configure it too much, but you can actually configure that a little bit more to your choosing. I could save these settings for right now, all the exhibitor registration options, and then just go back in the settings, because we also have to look at online payments and how that's handled. So we're going to go to online payments in the settings, scroll down to the exhibitor section. Okay, and they have a few more options. So just like the attendees, we have a base fee, which could be like the same kind of thing as your attendees, and then a early bird fee. So I could do the same kind of setup where as long as they paid by, let's say, this date, they would not get any extra fees. Now, I may charge more for the exhibitors, or allow free reps even. So maybe with every paid company, they get 2 free reps. So we may do that where as long as they pay for the first one, they'll get 2 free reps. Or I could even charge an extra fee per rep that they add. So that way they can register everyone at once. And that could be whatever I want to charge my attendees. So maybe it's discounted or something for each additional rep. So you'd put that in there. All of this stuff, we can always have a session and go through this in more detail as to what all these fields. I know when you get into it, it's a lot, so that's fine. The next session here is the Leads app cost. Now, there's 3 different options for your attendee, your exhibitors rather, to use the leads, and we have an option where you can purchase the leads for them, and they would pay nothing. So you could set these down to free, or and then you would just pay us for however many licenses you need to purchase, or you could charge your attendees the fee schedule that we've set up, and I believe it's something like originally it's $169 and $129 for additional, and then it goes up as it gets closer to the date. And we'll actually provide more information, so you'll see things like that. And what would happen is you guys actually get to keep 25% of the proceeds for that, and the rest goes to our support of the conference leads product, because if they have any questions or anything like that, they'll actually be contacting us directly. You guys won't really have to deal with it, but it's a neat way for you guys to kind of make some money and offer a really cool app for folks to capture leads. And all they have to do is scan the attendees' QR code, just like if they were being tracked in a conference session or something. Okay, just like with the attendees, you can auto accept if they've paid. If you do offer free registration to your exhibitors, which most won't, but just in case, you can also accept free registration forms where there's no additional charges. And then here we have some more information about emails that are sent out once they have paid. And once that's all completed, just save that. And to test this registration form works and everything, and I really didn't go into creating it for the exhibitors, but in this lead retrieval section, you go to online exhibitor registration, share, and there's a different link for your exhibitors than for your attendees. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that so that I can put it in a different browser. Okay, and once I get that up, I'm going to paste in and go to that site. So here's my exhibitor registration. Okay, and they're just going to fill in the information. Now with an exhibitor, because we do want to advertise those in the attendee app, we do require that they have their company name in there too. So I'm just going to quickly fill this out. With all the required fields. Okay, and if I have any other representatives that'll be out there, I may want to register them as well. Okay, and once I have those in there, it's going to ask me if I'd like to use that Leads app. Okay, from here it tells me the pricing, and if I want to read more information about it, I can learn where to download it. That's available for the Apple and Android devices, but I have to confirm that I've read that information and hit continue. And that also tells me that I want to use it. Now here you can see all the representatives and folks from my company that I've just tried to register, And we just want to know at this point who's going to be using the Leads app. So maybe I'm just the person paying for our registration, and I really just want our representative to use the app. So I just uncheck my name. Now I have to agree to the terms because there are certain things regarding cancellations. Basically, whether or not I choose to use the app, uh, it's up to me to make sure that the folks are able to use the app and that they have a device that's working at the event. We're not responsible for those kind of things. Obviously, if there's any issues, we'll work to get it resolved. They can call us for any kind of support issues that they might have. So then it tallies up all of the fees involved and gives them kind of a quick total. They just have to confirm the CAPTCHA here, and once they do so, they're going to be taken to make the payments just like an attendee did. Alright, and so here we do the same thing. Go to pay with my debit. Once it loads, it's going to give me the total at the top, as well as allow me to fill out my information to make that payment. So that's pretty straightforward, pretty much it. You just want to share that link now, and continue to remind your exhibitors even about registering before being on site, as they usually charge more, especially for that Leads app. Like I said, we have a fee schedule based on how close it is to the event. I think something like up to 30 days out, within 30 days, and then at the event is a higher price for that. But that's pretty much been it. So if you guys have any other questions, I'll go ahead and reply to any of those chats. I have everyone's email, it looks like it shows. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.